Hello viewer, and welcome to my YouTube show about video games that I don't currently have a clever name for. Today, we'll be talking about one of my favorite kinds of games, racing games. Indeed, one of the first games I ever played was Mario Kart 64 at my cousin's house, and when my family finally got its first console, a PS2, we had two games for it, Ratchet & Clank for the kids, and Need for Speed Most Wanted for my dad, although he never played it. He said the steering was too sensitive. He's a hardcore gamer, but the only game he plays is Farmville. But he plays hardcore. Anyway, throughout my youth, I bought and played many a racing game, but there was one series that I kept hearing about, but never actually played. Burnout, a series apparently about both racing and crashing. Recently, I've been struck by many YouTubers passingly praising the older games in the series.
I like games like Burnout, which is like completely unrealistic. Mm-hmm. You know, that's like fun.
You know, I'm more of a Burnout player than a Need for Speed player.
That's my go-to racing game was Burnout, and I whiled away many a weekend with a buddy of mine just passing the controller back and forth between rounds trying to 100% a Burnout game.
So when I happened to find today's game, Burnout 2 Point of Impact, at a flea market for a $5, which is the max I usually pay for games, I thought I'd see what all the fuss was about. So I bought it, I took it home, I popped it in, I made the PS2 go. Started playing, and was thoroughly disappointed. So treat this video as somewhat of a warning against buying Burnouts 1 or 2. But you're probably sitting there saying, but Burnout is one of the most celebrated series from the dawn of the 6th gen, and all of its releases were critically acclaimed. Surely it can't be that bad. Well, I'm here to tell you that this is one game that I definitely think you should steer clear of.
First, I just want to say that the actual racing controls of this game are good. They're very responsive and tight, with a quick tap of the brakes putting you into a very satisfying and controllable drift.
Got that? Good. Okay, I know it's not the most scathing opening comment, but hey, credit where credit is due.
The thing that irked me immediately was the viewing angle. It's far too low, which restricts your vision of what's up ahead. It's annoying, but not a deal breaker. Just remember it for later. The design philosophy of Burnout was always claimed to be risk for reward. By indulging in risky and hooliganish behavior during races, such as getting air, drifting, driving on the British side of the road, or doing close passes with other cars, it charges your boost meter until it reaches Burnout, which is empty at the start of the race. Having no boost at the start is a problem in itself, in my opinion, as boosting off the line is one of the bigger draws of open street racing games. But Burnout seems to be going for a more strategic implementation, where you need to have skill to get the boost, which I would usually commend, but in practice, it just doesn't work and isn't fun. You never know quite when you're going to have the boost, as you can only use it once you hit Burnout, and if you crash, you'll lose some of the meter, meaning you can't risk holding onto it for too long, ironically killing a lot of the strategy. The boost is used up as you hold the R1 button, like standard video game Nitrous, but if you let go of the button, you can't just use what you have left later. You have to charge it all the way back up to Burnout again. These mechanics feel like they would be much more at home in a kart racer than an open street one. Okay, we're driving along, it's looking good. Oops, mind that car!
Oh come on, in Need for Speed we'd call that a love tap!
Yeah, in most street races, city cars are obstacles that you need to weave around to add a bit more intensity to the race and keep you on your toes even when you're out in front. In Burnout 2 though, the cars go from being obstacles to full-on hazards. If you hit a car, you and your victim go tumbling through the air for a few seconds, which at least for me, killed the mood entirely, every time. And after you reset, you can't boost back up to speed because of the kart racer boost mechanics, and this combined with the fact that most laps are over 2 minutes long, made this game legitimately one of the most boring races I've ever played. I couldn't even get frustrated, it was just boring. felt like I was constantly being tripped over and stun-locked in a racing game.
Really? In Ridge Racer we'd call that a helping hand!
And even worse than that, there's just no spectacle to the crashes. They just kind of happen like, you crashed. Back on your way then. No cool effects or motion blur, just the game taking control away for a few seconds. It's not as exciting or cool, it's just irritating. Well, I guess at least they tend to be better than the previous game. Wait, am I indicating in a street race? No, that's cute. It's also how you know the game isn't set in Australia. Remember what I said earlier about viewing angle? Well, here's where it really screws you over. A big part of this game is doing those close passes of cars to get burnout. And as you can imagine, you need to be quite accurate to avoid...
Oh come on, in Gran Turismo 4 we'd call that a flirtatious fondling behind the bike shed.
My problem is that you are only given two different perspectives to choose from, bumper and close chase. Now I'm personally not a fan of bumper in any situation, because it cuts off too much of the periphery, so I naturally use chase. But in this game the camera is too low down, obscuring what's in front of you just enough to make every crash seem that little bit more cheaper, and my investment a little bit deader.
But of course, racing is only half of what Burnout 2 is known for. The other half is crash mode. A mode where you drive your car into a busy intersection and cause vehicular devastation. The more damage you cause, the more points you score. So could this mode be Burnout 2's saving grace? Well, let's take a look and find out.
Okay, I know it's not Postal or Manhunt or even GTA, but I at least really feel some of these impacts, and not in a good way. After crashing, your camera goes into slow motion and one by one locks onto the crashing cars, trucks and buses, which if you get a good hit can take ages to resolve as you gaze upon the destruction you have wrought, which could be cool or horrific depending on the mood you're in, but mostly it's just boring. This is partly because of the low viewing angle again, making it more difficult to sum up the car's headings at a glance, but also because the physics just aren't very satisfying. I found them to be not really solidly predictable and uninteresting, and also the fact that the cars are all constantly moving, even though they aren't randomized, makes it more of a crapshoot than a puzzle, and because of this, the difficulty of each crash zone is kind of up in the air. Many times I would randomly get a gold medal on my first try, or even think I completely screwed up and hit a car near the end of the crash zone, only to double the default high score and have no idea how it happened because the camera was focused on a car that wasn't doing anything. And then afterwards, you'd have to sit through the long helicopter shot of the crash, which takes ages to circle the entire map even if there's no more damage and
Okay, I've just been told we have a chopper down there at the accident. Mike is up there. Mike, what can you see down there at the accident? How bad is it?
Pull up, you bloody fool! You'll kill us all! I'm on the bloody straight line! Sorry about that, just technical difficulties. Well, as you can see there, John, it is absolute carnage. There are buses and trucks and cars all completely smashed up. Now we can just turn the chopper here to get a better look. You just turn the chopper, turn the chopper! There's just nothing for you to do after that initial crash because of the constantly shifting camera angle. And you don't always get the satisfaction of watching the crash unfold like in Angry Birds or Traffic Panic. Hell, Traffic Panic gives me way more satisfaction than this, and in that you only control a single traffic light. And also, what is this? This tanker truck, it comes in, it hits all these cars, and it didn't explode. This is a game designed around vehicular destruction, and the tanker trucks don't explode. Do I even need to say why this is a problem? It's breaking one of the fundamental laws of video game physics! To say nothing of the log trucks with their entire load cemented in place! God damn it! Tanker trucks don't explode! What is this crap? on top of that, it doesn't even give you all the points that you rightfully deserve. More than once I'd watch as crashes would happen in the still running game engine after my points had been tallied up. I mean, just look.
So yeah, this game, pretty damn bad. But let's take a look at the back of the box to see what critics of the time had to say about it.
Let's see here. Graphically, it has to be seen to be believed. Bullcrap, it looks like a late Dreamcast game at best. The fastest, smoothest, and most entertaining arcade racer yet? 10 out of 10?
Well, okie dokie, Smokey Joe. To the internet we go!
Okay, Burnout 2 came out on September 30th, 2002, over 2 years after the launch of the PS2, and here we have all the racing games that were released before then. We can get rid of the more sim-type games like NASCAR, Formula 1 and Gran Turismo, as well as the kart races and games where you don't actually drive cars like Wipeout and MotoGP. And we'll also not count the original Burnout, along with some of the games known to be less spectacular. That still leaves us with games like Downforce, Test Drive, Le Mans, Gadget Races, Tokyo Extreme Racer Zero, and Rumble Racing. And let's not forget that in America, the PS2 launched with the original Midnight Club and Ridge Racer 5, which admittedly was a bit of a bumper cars on an ice rink simulator, but hey, that's Ridge Racer for you. And it's still an impressive game for its time. You look at this lineup and tell me that Burnout 2 is the most entertaining arcade racer yet. Not to mention that the very next day, October 1st, 2002, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2 was released. Hot Pursuit 2, the ultimate entry in the first era of Need for Speed, and a brilliant arcade racer. Which is weird because the guys who developed Burnout, Criterion Games, ended up developing the Hot Pursuit remake in 2010. But what really flips my floppies is that upon this game's release in 2002, it got scores across the board of 8s and 9s out of 10. 8s and 9s!
9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9, 9!
So you're saying that this deserves the same score as these?
Remember that time in the hotel?
Maria?
This is one of the weirdest things about retro gaming, seeing how far we've come. The fact that this used to be in some people's eyes a 9.5 out of 10, even in an age with this and this just around the corner, is mind-blowing. This game is like the altered beast of the 2000s, with everyone gushing over it when it came out, but over the years it quickly began to rot.
Now I'm sure all of you Burnout fanboys out there are ready to have at me with pitchforks and tire irons for all this vehicular blasphemy I've been spouting, but here's the thing. Criterion Games, the guys who developed Burnout 2, agree with me. Everything that I've complained about here, from the boost, to the low energy, to the crashing, to the physics, all of it was fixed in its sequel, Burnout 3 Takedown.
The crashes are given a lot more spectacle and feel more awesome. The boost system was addressed and simplified. The right things explode when they should. And overall, the game just has a lot better sense of speed. It's like Burnout 3 is everything that Burnout 2 tried to be, but done right. Making Burnout 3 an excellent game, which fully captures the madcap spectacle of racing and crashing together, perhaps due to the change in publisher from Acclaim to Electronic Arts.
I saw something rare over there. Come on. Beautiful creature. A rare example of EA making a game series actually better. Come, take a look, take a look. Oh, it's an endangered species these days.
Oh, and did I mention that to promote the release of Burnout 2 in the UK, Acclaim said that they would pay for any speeding tickets people got if they bought the game on release day.
Well, I tell you, I could have used that as I gunned it back to EB Games to return this piece of crap, buy a $5 tin of Pac-Man candies, and ultimately probably have a lot more fun. But there's one last thing that I want to address, and that is that for a game called Burnout 2 Point of Impact, while there are certainly an abundance of impacts, there isn't a single Burnout to be found.
For those of you not automotively inclined, a burnout is where you keep your automobile stationary and spin the rear wheels, creating plumes of smoke from the burning tires, hence the name Burnout. This is something impossible to do in both this game and its predecessor.
So why is it the name of the frigging series? So on a scale of playing it to hating it, I'd usually give a game of this quality and ain't playing it. However, this game did not even try and make me want to like it. And I just can't get over those crappy crashes, so I'm giving this game a hating it. Which it saddens me to do, because the controls really are very good. But, to balance it out, I am going to give Burnout 3 Takedown an honorary playing it. Honorary because I haven't given it a full review, and I would happily recommend Burnout 3 or any of the EA published Burnouts to anyone after this kind of game. But I would not recommend Burnout 2 to anybody.
Unless you want to buy it off me on eBay. Going cheap.
And I would happily recommend Burnout 3 or any of the EA published Burnouts to anyone looking for this kind of game. But as for Burnout 2, well, I guess it's a bit of a crash and burn out. Wait a minute, that's not Burnout. It's crash. Wait, what? Hey everyone, thanks for watching the video. Just want to take a quick moment to give shoutouts to the wonderful artists who helped me make this video. First of all, I want to shout out Rasp, who did the good animations in this video. Just quickly, here's their production company logo. Yes, Diamond Dust New Media, that's the name of their company, and they just approached me one day and they said, hey, your quality is kind of crap, but I like what you do, let me make you less crap. And they've helped make me less crap. Yeah, pretty much all the good animations in this video, that was them, and all the crappy ones were mine. You can find them at their Twitter, Alt Encephalon, I think I'm pronouncing that right, it's on the screen now. That's the Twitter of Goddammit Rouse, the founder of the company. And also like their Patreon, Diamond Dust New Media, which is in the description. Also, big, massive thank you to Caitlin Parker, who did the brilliant intro card you see there, the title card for the video. She did that in one day after me just like giving her a couple pictures of Burnout covers and saying, hey, make that, but with me in one of the cars and looking unimpressed. And she did that all in one day, and that was brilliant, and I love it. If you'd like to get something drawn by her, you can just send me a message and I'll pass that on to her. And finally, a big thank you to Peter Novakovic of Waftam Productions for allowing me to use a snippet from his song from his musical Hyperspace, a Star Wars parody, as the new intro for the KeithShizuo channel. I just fell in love with that tune while being in that musical, and he said, yeah, sure, you could use it on your thing, you know, no royalties, just, yeah. So yeah, that is awesome. Thank you, Peter. I'm not putting in any bloopers this time, guys, which is ironic considering I just screwed up saying that line about 6 times. But yeah, I did learn a few things making this video. 2 in particular. First being that if you can say a line to camera, say it to camera, because you never know when you might not be able to think up something to go over it. And secondly, that my DVD recorder does not like receiving 60 Hz through S-video. So yeah, that's why you saw a brief snippet in there that was in black and white, but that thing with the AI that happened was just so funny I had to keep it in. In terms of the channel, there might be a Christmas video coming out, there may not be, we'll see what happens. And expect a review of the English Yu-Gi-Oh! Dark Duel stories in the new year. So that's about it, so KeithShizuo out. See you guys in the next vid.